Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're gonna talk about Oncidium's intergenerics and specifically about when they are actually spiking and creating these buds that will actually open and become beautiful flowers. So if your Oncidium's intergenerics are spiking right now, congratulations, that's amazing, which means that you have done good things so far, but moving on, there are a few things that I do to actually make sure that my plants will keep pushing out healthy flowers and also to avoid bud blasts or even lose the spikes. If you're curious about that and you want to know a little bit more, stay here with me and let's start. What happens when these beautiful plants start to push out flower spikes is that the plant will focus its energy in growing the spikes, maturing its buds, and opening the flowers, instead of focus most of its energy on growing leaves and roots. The flowers consume a lot of energy from our orchids. They are vital for plants to survive, to have these flowers. So when they are in this stage, that's the main focus of everything that's happening here with our orchids. So our plant becomes a bit more sensitive to stress. And for this reason, we need to be a little bit more careful while they are spending their energy on growing these beautiful buds. The first thing that we have to cover here is watering. If you know a little bit more about Oncidiums and intergenerics, you know that they are pretty sensitive to dehydration. If you live in a place that is very dry and very warm, you need to be extra careful actually. These plants will show signs of dehydration pretty quickly when they are thirsty. Now that summer here, I have a ton of Oncidiums intergenerics that were becoming pretty thirsty pretty quickly, and that's because the temperature increased. What I have to do in this case is to keep watering my plant as soon as I notice that the mix is drying out. Oncidiums intergenerics, they prefer to be a bit moist all over than completely dry. To avoid bud blasts, to avoid stress, I would recommend when this plant pushes spikes to keep an eye on the mix. This one is full of roots here, and keep watering it when it's approaching dryness. Some signs that your plant is getting dehydrated is that you notice the pseudobulbs, they become wrinkled. That's a great sign that your plant needs immediate water. And also always check the mix. You can stick a finger inside. You can just look at the roots and see if they are becoming grayish, whitish. It means that your plant needs some watering. And if you leave your plant without water for too long, it can become too stressed, and then you can have a serious case of bud blasting. Now, the basic thing is light. We know that our plants need light. If you place this plant in a dark room now that has a spike, what's the point? The spike will probably not develop fully and will have issues. And the same thing now that summer, being careful, not exposing it to super bright direct light that will scorch the leaves. We don't want to lose our leaves and then having a weaker plant. We need our plant to have plenty of energy, remember, to focus on the beautiful flowers. Same thing with fertilizing. We know that I have to fertilize our orchids, and I guess since you are having a plant spiking that will push out beautiful blooms, you probably have been fertilizing it. And while it is pushing out this spike, keep fertilizing it now that it's summer, and when it's spring, you can even fertilize it weekly for a while or even bi-weekly. Your plant will definitely enjoy and appreciate it now that it's also consuming lots of energy to produce beautiful blooms for you. Now let's talk about how to avoid bud blast. We don't want to lose these flowers, especially now that we are finally able to see them forming. The first cause of bud blast is abrupt temperature change. Let's say that is very warm and suddenly I'll take my plants to a super cold room. Maybe you have AC in your house, maybe you have a window that will have a chilly afternoon. I don't know, but abrupt temperature change can definitely cause bud blasts. Not only that, let's say that we are in a pretty warm but also ventilated room, and then you move your plant to a super hot and stuffy room. It's gonna get a bit weird for this plant to adapt as well. So when the temperature is drastically changed all the time, it can definitely cause some issues with flowering. The next one I've already covered is underwatering. Sometimes if you keep your plant soaked all the time, please don't do it. These plants are not aquatic plants, so avoid submerging each water and leave it to be because it will lose its roots anyway. But usually the main cause for bud blasts after temperature change is definitely dehydration. So if your plant's getting stressed because it doesn't have enough water, doesn't have enough roots to sustain the plant, again, it's a cause that will cause bud blast. So healthy roots is essential to have healthy flowers. Then another cause of bud blast is pests. So if you are having beautiful buds forming in Oncidium and intergenerics, and then suddenly you have an infestation of insects, spider mites, thrips, there are a range of different insects that will munch on your plants. They can munch from the buds and they can cause bud blasts as well. They can quickly and easily destroy the whole flower spike. So keep an eye on pests. Try to use preventative methods if you know some of them. Try to treat your plants if you can on time to avoid losing the beautiful flower spike. Another thing that happened as well is physical damage. I've lost so many flower spikes and buds due to physical damage. I have an example of an Oncidium that I showed you in my last Oncidium and intergeneric that was pushing a beautiful flower spike, was in a shelving. My daughter and my husband was probably walking here and they broke the spike. So it does happen a lot. Be very careful when, especially with Oncidiums and intergenerics, these spikes are very long. They can get heavy. Very important that you have heavy pots as well so it can sustain the plant. Some of these aluminum and very light pots, depending on where you place your plant, the plant can easily fall and then you might lose the spikes or the buds. Something else is in the edge of a shelving. You might walk past by and then suddenly you're gonna break the flower spike or the bud. It all happens very often. You leave the window open and the wind's too strong and your plant is on the floor. So this all can happen. It's very important that you give a solid base, place it somewhere where it will be kind of protected, and you should be fine. So here is an example of an Oncidium intergeneric that it's actually blooming right now, but it has a ton of different spikes. Actually, it's gonna have like maybe 4 spikes. So how I'm looking after it, giving you a very practical example is, since it pushed out the spike on my shelving where it has growing lights, I'm keeping it there, the same position. I try not to move them too much. If you don't know, usually flower spikes tend to turn towards the light. So if I want to have let's say, a flower spike facing the same direction that it is right now, I need to keep it in the same position. That's what I'm trying to do. It's growing under growing light, but I have some Oncidium intergenerics growing under natural light. Since it's not exposed to direct midday sunlight, they are doing fine. Something else that I do is, like, now that's very hot, I can't wait 1 week to water it. Took me 5 days, I guess, and it's already getting dehydrated. So depending where you are, you might have to water a little bit more or a little bit less, depending on your region and the temperature. Now that's 30 degrees, 32 degrees Celsius around here, and it's all indoors. I need to water each 4 days to make sure that it's pretty much hydrated. Something else is that I offer my orchid fertilizer. The same dosage that I give to other orchids is the one that I'm giving now, but I gave it to my Oncidium intergenerics for the past 3 weeks in a row. Usually I tend to skip, but I'm going away as well, so that's what I'm doing so far. And again, since I'm not moving it, I'm just leaving it in the same shelving. I'm not gonna have any temperature shift, and that's really important. I'm not taking from indoors to outdoors or from outdoors to indoors. I'm just keeping it on the same position, and then it should be fine. I have other Oncidium intergenerics spiking as well, and the clue here is to offer a good care. So watching Oncidium intergeneric blooming is one of the most rewarding things in orchid care. I think we wait sometimes for a year just to see these blooms, and they definitely warm me up. I hope they do bring you some joy as well. After they are in full glory, I tend to move them to the shelving here behind me where I put my blooming orchids. That's where my Phalaenopsis are there right now, and soon it's going to be full of Oncidiums and intergenerics. I hope this video was useful. If it was for you, please hit the like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel. I hope you're enjoying your blooming, and I see you soon. Bye bye!